Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly McFarland, your facilitator for today's webinar. This webinar is organized by Swords to Plowshares and is designed for the grantees of the Texas Veteran Employment Collaborative to stay informed of best practices for providing employment and training services to Texas veterans. This is the second in a series of technical assistance webinars. It is designed to help maximize your ability to act as job brokers for veterans and employers and to set up job training programs and cohort models. Our presenter today is Dave Lopez. Dave will provide insight on job brokering, training programs, and cohort models for hiring veterans. Dave is the Deputy Director for Programs and Operations for Swords to Plowshares and oversees the supportive services programs that include the Employment and Training Services units in San Francisco and Oakland, the Frontline Drop-In Health and Social Services units, and 3 supportive services for veteran families programs. He is responsible for ensuring that the comprehensive services at Swords to Plowshares are integrated and meet the needs of veterans. Dave also oversees the agency's HMIS data standards and integration and coordination with our IT department. During this webinar, you may type a question to Dave or Swords to Plowshares staff at any time. Simply type your question in the questions box on the right side of this webinar's display. Following Dave's presentation, we will review all the questions and comments submitted to discuss obstacles and solutions in providing job training services to veterans. Also, all participants will be given further opportunity to ask Dave a question by raising your virtual hand. Simply click on the small hand icon under the list of attendees next to your name, and we will enable audio for your question. Please note, this webinar is being recorded and will be archived on Swords to Plowshares website. Without further delay, please welcome Dave Lopez.
Well, thank you, Kelly, and good morning, Texas grantees. I hope you all are doing well. So what we're going to talk about today is, Kelly explained a little bit about the webinar for today, and so let me try and get my page to move. Some of the common terms that you're going to hear is job brokering, which is, basically we're the conduit between the job seeker and the employer. Talk a little bit about job training programs, what they're about, the strategies that we've used around that, and some cohort model training courses that we have facilitated, and hopefully that'll be something that you all will be able to use in your areas as well. So veterans are an easy population to market, and so something that we have found here at Swords to Plowshares and across the Northern California area is that above and beyond the veterans or the employers wanting to hire veterans because they are veterans, their marketable skills have become a commodity for employers in our area, and so we're really trying to market the veteran as the soft and hard skills that the military has taught them. And this is why it's easier for us these days to get employers to come on board and create a relationship with them so that we can get them to commit to hiring veterans and helping them integrate back into the civilian life. I'll turn it over to Kelly for our first poll question.
Thanks, Dave. This is a kind of a fun one, and we didn't talk about this in the introductions, but if everybody on our webinar today notices that there is a screen that's just popped up asking you a question, and feel free to answer that question, and we kind of can share the poll results with everybody as we go. And the question we have now currently is, have you previously set up or run job training programs or cohort models in your organization? And you can see the answers there. You can select all that apply. And Dave, what's your experience in working with veteran service organizations? Do they typically have some training or cohort models, or is it something that you've, in your experience, see that either needs improvement and or a lot of people have already hit best practice?
Well, Kelly, what I think it depends on the region and the area that these our grantees are located in. We have here at Swords done both, where we've worked with existing training programs and where we have actually created our own training program with our community partners, such as a community college and an employer. And it really depends on the area that people are located in.
Well, that's great. Now, I think if we can see the results of the poll that the folks who are attending our webinar today have answered that they do actually both. So that's really good news, right? And goes along with what you just talked about.
Absolutely.
In terms of being the most successful methodology of doing both. Well, thanks, everybody. Right back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Kelly. All right. So one of the things that we've really come to understand in the years of running training programs is that, you know, the jobs have to be there before you even engage in conversations about sending somebody through a training program or working with a company that will have job openings for that. And so, you know, as you can see from this picture, is you know, back in 2009, we all thought that solar installation was going to be the big boom. I think the Department of Labor, you know, trained, you know, at least 1 million people across the country on how to install solar panels. And so we all know what happened in 2009 is that the economy tanked and the jobs were just not there. And so we did an entire program around this solar panel installation. We worked with 3 community colleges, and so although the model worked very well, the unfortunate thing for us was that the jobs were just not available when we needed them to be available. And so it's always very, very important to ensure that the job is going to be there so that we can ensure that the veteran will be able to get employed once he or she has completed their training. So job brokering. And so with job brokering, it's basically building a relationship with the employer. And so one of the things that we've done with building the job brokering practice is ensuring that we get to know who our employer is. You know, it's not just about trying to outreach to employers about, you know, please help our homeless veteran population. And so what we've done is we've really put our for-profit business hat on. And so we approach these employers on a very professional level. And so we want to customize the services to them. We're really using a dual customer approach here. So we're looking at our employers as our customers, and we're looking at our veterans as our customers. And so it's great meeting the CEOs of companies, but the person that you want to meet at the company is the hiring manager or the recruiter. And so that is what we specialize in when it comes to building that relationship with employers. Is this job brokering service that we offer is we become the headhunters for these companies. We will look at the job descriptions and we'll ask them to decipher it for us. You know, were they willing to train up? It's very important to know that, because although our veterans may be highly skilled to fill some of these positions, they just won't have the 5 or 6 years of civilian experience that some of these employers list on their job descriptions. So it is really important to build that relationship so that you can tailor the services to that employer. When we post job ads, you know, we will use a veteran's military occupational specialty, their MOS, to try and recruit veterans that may have that specific skill set that the employer is looking for. But I would say probably the most important aspect of the relationship is working with employers to ensure that they will train up in case the veteran does not have exactly what they are looking for at this time. And so Walmart has been a great employer for us. We've had a very positive experience with our local area HR recruiters. And their expansion of new stores in the area, they've been reaching out to Swords to Plowshares to fill some of not just entry-level store stocking positions, but management positions as well. So with the job training program, you know, one of the key aspects, or the most important thing to remember, is you want to make sure that your program is accredited. So what we do is if we have a training provider who approaches us, or we're thinking about an industry that we want to train someone in, and we're developing curriculum, we need to make sure that the industry recognizes this curriculum, or that they will hire based on the training and education that these veterans are going to receive. So it works on a twofold. Number one, it works on ensuring that what we think we're training this veteran in will hold water in the business world. And on the second part is that you're bringing the employer along, and that helps them become part of the training collaborative that you're building, so that you want to make sure that you have employers at the table, so that once these trainings are completed, the employers will be able to interview the individuals for potential positions. The other piece of it is, companies may want to offer a training program as a whole. Maybe it's something new for them. I know we've been trying to work with Visa on trying to work on developing a training program for their call centers. And so, this doesn't happen overnight, for those of you that have experience in doing this. So it really does take a lot of energy and a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it, because we always want to ensure that we are offering as many varieties in our training programs as possible. So Pacific Gas and Electric is one of our major utility companies out here in California, also known as PG&E. And so we have been working with PG&E since 2009. And so with PG&E, it's a very interesting training and a cohort model, actually. And so PG&E has a training called Power Pathways, where they train individuals for gas utility worker positions. And so the great thing about PG&E is they are the training provider and the employer. And so PG&E has gotten very smart over the last couple of years on ensuring that whatever training program we're about to embark in, those positions will come online to match up the end of the training. And so that has been a fantastic relationship for us. It's a great career for veterans that are interested in this kind of work. We are actually in the process of outreaching for our next cohort training program with PG&E that will start in March, and it will run for 10 to 12 weeks. And we partner with a community college to provide the actual physical space, the computer lab. PG&E brings in instructors, and Swords to Plowshares provides the case management, wraparound support, job readiness, which involves resume preparation, and we ensure that these veterans complete the course and are able to pass the tests to be able to apply for positions that are open with PG&E. And so I just discussed briefly about what the cohort model is. And so, PG&E, being the trainer, will pay for the entire instruction. And so that also helps our funding here. Perfect example is for the current one. They're funding this at $90,000, and so they've outreached Swords, and so we build a relationship and rent the space from the community college, and then we're able to provide services and wraparound support with the existing monies from them. The great thing about the cohort model is it really does build a community of veterans, and it expands beyond that. You get these young families that become lifelong friends, and that's really powerful. It's having someone out there that understands exactly what you may be going through, which is pretty amazing to see. And so there again, it's really about customizing our services in our resume writing and preparation to make sure that we are helping that veteran sell him or herself on paper, which is probably the most important aspect of our job brokering that we do. And so with PG&E, again, I just want to talk about that. They have made the jobs available so that we're training for jobs that they will have open. And so that is really the e-ticket here, is ensuring that your training provider has those positions open. And so there are times when it is working with unions, and so we are working on another utility company here in the Northern California area, East Bay Municipal Utility District, to ensure that we're all playing by the rules and ensuring that the union is on board with us being able to do this for veterans. And so, like I said earlier, it's what we do here is customer service. What we all do is customer service. We do provide services, and once again, it's really looking at your veterans and employers as your customers. We become like Match.com, is that we're trying to satisfy both of sides of the fence here. We want to ensure that the employers are satisfied with who we're referring over, and we want to ensure that the veterans are well prepared and we're not setting them up for failure. So it is really important. Unfortunately, not every veteran will fit with every single job, but there is a veteran out there that will fit a job. And so this is what we specialize in, this relationship with our customers, both veterans and employers. And I will turn it back over to Kelly for our poll question number 2.
Yay. So this one is going to be a little bit about the biggest obstacle you face. And when I say you, I'm talking about our participants and attendees. So what is the biggest challenge to getting veterans that you serve hired? And please select all the ones that are pain points for your organization or you. Is it because the stereotype of the veteran is like the walking issue, or is it other issues in the veteran's life that are preventing placement? Veterans not having the right resume or interview skills, and obviously professional skills matching. Dave, while our participants are answering the poll, what is your experience on this in terms of what's the biggest challenge you see?
So the biggest challenge that we've seen here over the years is really veterans don't have resume or interviewing skills. Because when you think of it, it's your first presentation to that employer, and so I think how you present on paper, it really says a lot about you. It says a lot about can you present professionally in writing, basically, and so that has probably been the biggest stumbling block, which is why with this job brokering service that we offer employers, that we ensure that we're understanding what types of resumes the employer is looking for. Is it informational? What's the format? What do they want to see on that resume? And so this is why we really put a lot of effort in helping veterans write these resumes.
Well, Dave, that sounds about what close to what our participants are indicating in their experiences, that other issues are preventing really good placement, and that the professional skills it's hard to match those. And again, I think from my personal perspective, being a retired Navy chief, that again, my skills, it was very difficult to translate those skills onto a civilian resume, and in a way that really captured all of the meaning. So I think those three are what we're seeing the biggest issues, right, as an agency. The other issues, the resume interviews, skills aren't matching, and then the don't have the needed professional skills for what people are trying to place them in.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. Back to you.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. So there again, you really got to get to know your employers. It really is a unique relationship, just as it is with every single veteran that walks into your door. Everyone walks in with something different, different needs, different skill sets, different places in life. It's the same with employers. It's a relationship is what it is, and so it's really building that trust with a relationship. And as you can see on the screen, I've discussed some of these things already about listing MOS, veterans MOS, to get the candidates that will most likely have the skills that match the positions available. The formatting of the resume is extremely important. The font, everything comes down to what are the expectations of this employer, and how do they want the resume sent. I think it's making sure that you can follow directions. And for any of us that have ever put job ads out ourselves to hire, you'll see that sometimes very simple instructions on submitting resumes are not followed, and so we want to ensure that the veterans that we're working with applying for these jobs at these companies are following everything to the letter on what the employer's expectations are. And here we go. It's matching the veteran skills and employer needs. We do use skills assessments at times, but really what we look at is when we're talking to a veteran face-to-face about their experience in the military. How do you convert that skill set and language into civilian life? And so it's really teasing out the specific tasks and responsibilities that the veteran has had that you can definitely help the employer choose the appropriate veteran for that position. All right, and so what we do is, and most of us are probably on the same boat here, develop an employment plan for the veteran. There are times with a veteran that you are not going to be able to fully see them through their entire career path, but it is helping them map out a plan to get there, and I think that's really important for the veteran. I think one of the factors that we don't have control over is time, and sometimes it does take time to reach that executive position that some of these veterans may be wanting, but it's helping map out a plan for that veteran. Maybe it's more schooling, maybe it's more training, maybe it's relocating in a geographic area for advancement in a company. So there's many factors that come into play on trying to get a plan developed with the veteran. It's not that we develop it for them, but we develop it with them to ensure that it fits where they're trying to get to. And so this is just a sample copy of the employment development plan, or individual employment plan as it's called in some areas. And so this is something new that Swords to Plowshares embarked on a few years ago. We had done the traditional job fairs, and so our area is extremely saturated with job fairs. There's one probably every month here specifically for veterans. And so we had facilitated 2 job fairs about 4 and 5 years ago. A lot of work to put together, a lot of calling employers to make sure that they commit. But what we found is that there wasn't a veteran walking out of this job fair with a job. And sometimes it's not even the recruiter that is sitting at the table. And so for our area, what has seemed to work best for the way that we provide services to employers and the relationship that we build with employers is we facilitate what we call intimate hiring events. And so what an intimate hiring event is, you're looking at, I'm going to take Walmart for an example. So when Walmart did their expansion in the East Bay and the South Bay of the Northern California area, they reached out to Swords Plowshares and said, we have these 12 assistant manager positions available starting at $60,000. Can you help us fill them? And so we outreached, we prepped, we primped, we prepared veterans to interview for these positions. And so getting to know the recruiter at Walmart helped this process. And so we ended up with about 30 veterans applying for these positions, and 90% of them were offered a position, a preliminary position, based on their interviews of that day. So this is what's worked out very well, is that you are sort of catering to both your employer and to your veteran. And so we've embarked on a few of these with a few different companies, and that seemed to work really well. We have great outcomes based on it, and it really builds and strengthens that relationship with the employer to show that, yes, the services that you're providing to these employers meets what they're looking for as far as the quality of the candidates. So I would definitely recommend trying one of these out and seeing if it works for you, and it may not. But I do know that for us, this seems to have worked out really well, so we're really pleased with this. And so I want to talk about transitional employment for a second here. And so, one of the things that we have tried to evaluate in our own job placements is, it's not always easy to get that veteran able to participate in a long-term training program. As most of us have experienced, the veteran needs a job like yesterday. And so for us, we do use security guard placements or professional protection services, as I like to call them, because a veteran, in mapping out their employment development plan, the quickest placement for us is security. And it works, but at the same time, the reason I call it transitional employment, although it is a permanent job placement, it's because we want to ensure that the veteran doesn't feel that we're just kind of dumping them in this job without any advancement or future. And this may be where they want to land, which is absolutely fine. But, while the veteran is working on their longer-term career path, they will need income, most likely. And so we do rely on some of these quicker job placements as a transitional type of employment for them, but definitely continue to map out how we can continue to serve them. And this is where the foundation support dollars that come into your agency help, because for those of us that have federal contracts or local or state, it's, once you place them, they're done. But this is where you can sort of keep the meter running and help veterans reach their career paths. And I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for that very informative presentation. It comes with a lot of experience on that. And we'd like to open up a discussion with our participants. We do have a few questions lined up. So if you're open to that, Dave, we have the first one, which talks about, you stated the jobs must be there before setting up a training program. What about new and innovative fields that don't show a lot of historical job data? Is there a reason to shy away from that, or should that not deter people from going in that direction?
Well, based on our experience, and I'll go back to the solar panel trainings that we did, solar panel installer trainings, is that, our commitment to the time commitment that we ask these veterans to partake in, and at the end of this training, there was no jobs. And although nothing is guaranteed, it is very hard as a provider to not be able to help a veteran succeed. And so, and there again, I know nothing is a guarantee, but if there are no jobs at the end of that training program, then the veteran is in the same place where they started. They may have a certification or experience on performing a certain job, but there was no job there. And so what we've looked at is the job there? And most importantly, does the curriculum hold water in the business world? It's not impossible,
absolutely,
but in my experience.
But in your experience, the thing to do is always keep your eye on the deliverable at the end of that rainbow. That's got to be, there has to be something to be employed about.
Absolutely. And so like manufacturing is growing here in the northern East Bay of the San Francisco area. However, manufacturing has changed. Manufacturing no longer requires 300 workers in the warehouse. Now with automation, it requires 40. So right. This is something that you need to be aware of your industry and understand, what does 3% growth mean? Does that mean 30 jobs or 300 jobs? And so what we have found key is to ensuring that the jobs either are there now or will be when the training is over.
Got it. And that kind of leads right into the next question, Dave, which is about what about short-term temporary jobs in high-growth areas that can help develop the veterans' experience?
Absolutely. For us here in Northern California, the tech industry is great for that. And it really is working and negotiating with your employer. We like a sort of on-the-job training or internships, those work fantastic because even if the veteran does not end up getting hired by that company, they have real on-the-ground experience and they have a reference, and so that counts for a lot. And so that helps them go to employer number 2. Unfortunately, not everything lines up perfectly, but I think the participant who asked that question right now, I did excellent plan. Yes.
Excellent. And another question kind of rolls right in with this. We see a lot of veterans that come to us as job ready, but after assessing them, we realize they need a lot of mental health treatment, et cetera. So that goes along with the poll question that we had where it's other issues in the veteran's life. How do you go about dealing with those barriers to employment, and how do you discuss it with the veteran when they think they are job ready?
Right. And so that's a very delicate conversation to have with the veteran because, I mean, in context, the word job ready sounds pretty horrible because who are we to tell somebody they can't work? But understanding the relationship that you're building with the employer and that you don't want the veteran to fail at something, and the veteran needs income. So, what we try and do is we will try and get the vet into some sort of transitional employment and work on the other issues. And so some of the other issues may have to do with, related to mental health. They're losing their housing or they're unstable in family situations. It's about encouraging them and offering other services that maybe your agency does or does have, or that services they can get in the community. We are fortunate here at Swords to Plowshares with the robust programs that we have. Many of the services that's veteran seeking we can offer in-house, everything from legal services to money management services. So it really is negotiating that with the veteran, and there, I wish I had a book that would give the answers on addressing these things with veterans, but it really is building that safe relationship with the veteran where you can talk about their ability to maintain employment, and I think that's key. It's not their ability, can they work, but can they maintain their job? And I think that's where we've been most successful at addressing issues around instability or untreated mental health issues or other issues. It's their ability to maintain employment.
That's an excellent benchmark to keep in mind when you're servicing, the veterans, when you're working with them to be job ready in all senses of the word. And it sounds like that if your organization, if the Veteran Service Organization doesn't have all these things in-house, like Swords to Plowshares does, that certainly knowing your community and knowing the service providers in that community and having them on a quick dial list would be of great great potential to help.
You know what, Kelly, absolutely, and just to take an extra step, it's really the warm handoff. So if you can call, John Doe over at the ABC company and
Right.
say that you're sending your vet over so that when John Doe shows up, he knows exactly who he's going to see. That really unifies the services, and it will help the veterans stay connected to your agency. And so, we all want to be known when we walk into a store or a bank or wherever. And so if the receiver is expecting the veteran, it'll be easier for the veteran to navigate the services there.
That's an excellent suggestion. And it's something that should be, it's just basic customer service.
Absolutely, Kelly.
That can really make a huge difference in attitude all the way around. So a question we have about some of the other professional profiles, talking about how much emphasis should be given to LinkedIn and other online professional profiles while tailoring a veteran's resume.
I think I don't think you can ever do enough of that. One of the other aspects that we do to help veterans promote themselves is we do 30-second elevator pitches. And so we actually record veterans talking about themselves, and we put this out on our website. And so we also invite, we have a pool of employers that can take a look at these elevator pitches, and it's really getting to know who you're going to interview. And so we've been very successful at this, and it also helps veterans present and practice presenting. And so we will re-record and re-record and re-record as many times as possible so that the veteran feels comfortable talking about him or herself. That's always the hardest thing for anyone, is how do you talk about yourself? How do you sell yourself in a professional manner? And so, but I think, LinkedIn and those other sites, I think they're wonderful. It really is about networking. Everything that we do in life is networking. And so employment or seeking employment is no different than that.
That's a great piece of advice, Dave. I love how you integrate or kind of put it all into one umbrella about whether it's in person or online. It's all about presenting yourself. And the more comfortable a veteran is with their skills and abilities and talking about themselves, the more successful the process is going to be. That's a great piece of advice. Well, I think that that if anybody has any last-minute questions, please shoot them our way. But I think for right now we've talked about all the questions that we've had. Although we did just get another one talking about who do we talk to about reporting requirements for this arrangement. And I can tell you that that's going to be Megan Zottarelli here at Swords to Plowshares. She's the grant administrator for this, and you can reach her at her number is 415-252-4787, extension 315. You can reach her on her email address of mzottarelli, which is M as in Megan, Zottarelli at stp-sf.org. So with that, I think thank you, Dave. Thank you, our participants. This does conclude our presentation. And please note that each of you will be prompted once you exit the webinar to complete a brief survey to evaluate the presentation. Your feedback is important to us and greatly appreciated. Thank you again for your time. This concludes our webinar. You may now disconnect.